Hi everyone, join us in this video as we visit the super elegant city of Vienna, which is well known for its palaces, museums, and other cultural attractions. And we even had time to do a day trip to Bratislava. Hi everyone, we finally made it to Vienna. As you can see, it's very crowded. So it is a bit hot today, so I think we're going to take it chill. And the first thing we're going to do is visit Stephensplatz and St. Stephen's Church. St. Stephen's Church is the tallest church in Austria and also the most important religious building in Vienna. Admission to the main area is free, but if you want to visit the towers or the treasury, then you do need to buy a ticket. Afterwards, we walked around Stephensplatz and its surrounding pedestrian streets and saw some of its iconic monuments, such as the Column of Pest and others. We also passed by St. Peter's Church, which was smaller but surprisingly beautiful. Then we passed by the Hofburg Palace and decided to take a break in the park behind it. The Mozart monument is nestled inside this park. It's a marble statue of Mozart that was made in 1896. After a quick stop to the Vienna Opera House and a quick ice cream stop, we headed towards the Schönbrunn Palace because it was time for their annual summer concert, and this was honestly one of the highlights of our trip.
Summer night concert of the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra will begin shortly.
The following day, we visited this tourist attraction called the Hundertwasser House. It's basically a building complex with very quirky and unique architecture. There is a small museum and a coffee shop. It's quite cute, but I don't think I would go out of my way to visit this next time. For lunch, we went to a beer garden where the portions were absolutely gigantic and we were unable to finish the pork knuckles and the pork ribs. So, after having a very heavy lunch where we had pork knuckles and ribs, I'm now going to the Schönbrunn Palace, which is at the Schönbrunn station. So this is Vienna's most popular attraction, although the tickets were not cheap. They were 32 euros per person for the grand tour. I guess if you come to Vienna, you have to visit this place. So we finally made it. The park around this palace is actually pretty large, but we finally made it to the Schönbrunn Palace, and so this was the home to many important people, but obviously home to Princess Sissi, if you know about Princess Sissi and the movies. The Schönbrunn Palace is a grand and majestic palace, and it was the summer residence of the Habsburg dynasty. It is obviously a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and there are more than 40 rooms to visit, so I think it took me close to 2 hours. The Schönbrunn Palace is considered to be one of the crown jewels of Vienna, and I can see why it's also considered to be one of the most beautiful Baroque buildings in Europe. Of all the rooms I got to visit, I think my favorite was the Great Gallery, which is the palace's ceremonial hall with its beautiful ceiling frescoes. After visiting the palace, we decided to visit the park, but I have to admit the park is so large, it's almost impossible to see everything in one day. The next day, we took a break from the glitz of Vienna and headed towards Bratislava. Hi everyone and good morning. So we had a bit of a late start this morning. However, we finally made it to Bratislava. So this was a day trip that I really wanted to do. It's very easy from Vienna. It's about 1 hour on the train, and there's also Wi-Fi on the OBB train, so that's perfect. The first thing we did was to walk around the old town as shops were opening. But then it was actually time to eat lunch, so we found a place that had really good Google reviews, and we decided to have some traditional Slovakian food. The sausages were pretty good, but I thought the potato pierogies were kind of underwhelming. We did not have an itinerary planned out when we left that morning, so we went back to the old town. So behind me is the main square of Bratislava in the old town. We did visit this palace in the center of the old town, and the tickets cost only €3. It was built between 1778 to 1781, and the tapestries were absolutely beautiful. Then it was time to check out the old market hall. However, on the day we went, there wasn't much. So we continued our walk to the Blue Church, or the Church of St. Elizabeth. Both the outside and the inside of the church were blue and beautiful. However, I didn't film since there was a wedding going on. After this, we were ready for a change of scenery, so we climbed the stairs all the way to the castle of Bratislava. So we've been in Bratislava for a few hours now, and I have to say that the old town is definitely on the small side, so I think 1 to 2 hours is enough. However, there is also the Bratislava castle that's located a bit further from the old town, so we walked from the old town all the way up to the castle hill. So I definitely feel like we have visited enough castles and palaces on this trip, so we're not going to go inside the Bratislava castle, but the gardens around and the whole castle hill is free. You don't need a ticket for this, and we managed to get some drinks at the restaurant, and I think now we're going to head down to the old town because very soon it's time for dinner. To finish off the evening, we had another meal at a Slovakian restaurant where we had really good chicken wings and ribs. Vienna's 300-year-old coffee house culture is also extremely well known, so we had to try one. However, Café Central was just too busy, so we ended up at a different one. This place is also a cultural institution which was established in 1786 and is well known for its coffee and its cakes. As you can imagine, the coffees and the cakes were on the pricey side, but you have to go there for its charming ambiance and the experience. And don't forget to visit the first floor because this is where the bakery and the chocolate stores are located, and I have to say this was one of the most beautiful stores I've ever visited. Next on the list of attractions was the Imperial Treasury of Vienna. Tickets for this museum cost €18 per person if you buy on site and if you didn't buy a package deal already. This museum houses treasures that were collected by Austrian emperors over the years. One of the highlights of our trip was actually the concert that we watched at the Golden Hall or Music Verein. This hall is not only visually striking, but it's actually known to be one of the finest concert halls in the world because of its tremendous acoustics. This is obviously an incredibly popular attraction, which is why we booked tickets for this Mahler Symphony many months before our trip. So good morning everyone. Today is our last full day in Vienna, and so I feel like we've visited enough museums and we have another one planned for this afternoon. So this morning we wanted something easygoing, so we came here to the Vienna Central Cemetery. The Vienna Central Cemetery is actually one of the largest cemeteries in the world, but it's well known for the graves of famous figures such as Beethoven, Strauss, Brahms, and many others. For the last museum of our trip, we picked this one that I cannot pronounce, but I will make sure to write down the name on the screen. The ticket for this museum costs 24 euros if you buy on site, but again, it's a good idea to find a combined ticket. So we actually bought the tickets yesterday. It was combined with the treasury, and those two tickets together cost 29 euros, and the advantage is you don't have to visit them on the same day. So we haven't even started the visit, and I just can't stop taking pictures of this place because the interior is so gorgeous. Once again, the building itself is absolutely beautiful on its own, but this museum is also well known for having lots of collection from ancient Egypt all the way to the late 18th century. Last but not least, we reserved many months before our trip tickets to go to the Vienna Opera House and to watch Puccini's famous opera called Turandot. So that was the end of our trip in Vienna. We took the train back to Munich where we had to catch our flight. But before I finish this vlog, I just want to show you the Munich residence, which is a must-see. So for 10 euros, you get to visit the largest royal palace in Germany. And the antiquarium is one of the most beautiful halls I've ever seen.
Ik zag zo lang niet meer gezien.
Ja, ik ook niet.